process of human learning, but because of lack of subject, he turned to animals such as cats, dogs, rats, and chicks. So kasi parang wala kasi nagtangka mag-volunteer na maging one of his experiment na human. So wala siyang choice kundi ginamit niya yung animals. Although ang ginamit niya ay animals, he clearly expressed his intention of applying his work to human learning. So, kahit ginamit niya yung mga animal, yung learning na nakita niya sa experiment sa animal, inaano niya talaga sa human learning. So, Frenchy said, the main purpose of the study of animal is to learn to develop of mental life down to trace, in particular, the origin of human faculties. As I said earlier, in Thorndike's view, learning is the process of forming association or bonds which he defined as the connection of a certain act with a certain situation and resultant pressure. If the stimulus and response are good, then the behavior will be repeated. If the results involve pleasure, kung yung stimulus and response ay good effect siya sa'yo, tapos nakatanggap ka pa ng pleasure, uulit-ulitin mo yun. Uulit-ulitin mo yung ginawa mo. So, this is the common example of stimuli and responses. You are hungry. Because you are hungry, you eat. So, gutom ka, kaya kumain ka. By eating some food, you will satisfy your hunger and you will also receive a pleasure. So, that's the connection easy. So, let's proceed to Thorndike's theory or Thorndike's law. There are three primary laws. So, the first one is the law of readiness. The series of responses can be chained together to satisfy some goals which will result in annoyance if blank. The best example of this is his famous experiment with cat. So let's imagine that the cat is trapped on a cage. The cat will find a way kung paano siya makakalabas dun sa cage na yun. Tapos ilalagay pa natin kung may pagkain sa labas. O nasa cage niya lang, nasa loob ng cage nakatrap. Tapos may pagkain sa labas. So maghahanap siya ng paraan kung paano makalabas para kainin yung pagkain na nasa labas. Tapos gutom na gutom yung cat na yun. So gagawa siya ng paraan. The key here is that this law suggests that learning takes place when an action tendency is aroused through preparatory adjustment. So ang meaning nun, a preparatory of action. So ilalagay natin siya sa classroom setting. Kung ang bata ay hindi pa talaga handang matuto, then learning cannot be automatically instilled to that children. Kung maraming pa nag-hinder sa kanya sa environment, maingay, sinarito na sa kanya, hindi siya makaka-focus sa tinuturo ng teacher niya. Kasi nga, maingay, may nag-hinder sa niya, sa paligid niya. So yun yung the law of readiness. So let's proceed. So the second law is the law of exercise. Connections become strengthened with practice and weakened when practice is discontinued. The more experiment repeated, the efficient and quickly the cat was able to produce and desired outcome. So kung pinaulit-ulit na yung gawin, tinap siya dun sa cage na yun, tapos may pagkain sa labas, uulit-ulitin na yung pipindutin yung button para makalabas siya. Kasi di ba nga, sa first natin sa readiness, gumawa siya ng paraan para makalabas. So napindot niya yung button na yun para makalabas siya. So dito, alam niya na kung paano siya makakalabas para makakain. So gagawa siya ng paraan para makalabas doon. Uulit-ulitin na yung ginawa niyang way para makalabas siya. Yun yung the law of exercise. So let's proceed
estudyante na hindi lang nag-absorb ng information passively, but the learners here are receivers. Nag-receive din sila ng information, nag-isip din sila kung ano yung binibigay ni teacher ng mga example dito sa teacher, nag-isip din sila ng information. So, past experience ni situation can affect perception. So, what we perceive is influenced by our past experience, current needs, and specific situation we are in. So, our mind interprets information based on how we learned before. So, our brain tends to organize and interpret sensory information as complete, unified rules. So, this helps us make sense of complex visual and auditory inputs quickly and efficiently. So, these are the 6 principles of Gestalt. These are law of proximity, law of similarity, law of closure, law of good continuation, law of good preference, and law of figure and ground. So first, here is law of proximity. Elements that are close together will be perceived as a coherent object. So first, dito, yung mga malalapit na object, na-perceive natin yun sila as a group. Nakikita lang natin sila as a group. So for example, may 4 chairs dito, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Magkalapit sila, nakikita natin sila as a group. So, second is law of similarity. Elements that look similar will be perceived as a part of the same core. So here, yung mga object na magkakapareho, similar, magkakapareho, na-perceive natin sila as a group. For example, yung sa bata, pag may nakita siyang tatlong triangle, yung triangle na yun, group niya yun, kasi magkakapareho. Sa circle naman, group niya din yun as a circle, kasi nga po, magkakapareho. So next is closure, law of closure. We tend to fill the gaps or close the figure we perceive. We enclose a space by completing a contour and ignoring gaps in the figure. So dito, hindi naman totally na square and triangle ang nakikita natin. Pero yung utak natin is nakikita natin siya as a complete. Gets po? Yes! So very good. So law of good continuation. Influential individuals have the tendency to continue whenever the element or the pattern established in line direction. So people tend to draw a good continuation line. For example, di ba, naalala nito, nung leader ko tayo, meron tayong parang drawing book na parang yung letter na continuation, like for A, puro lines lang person or animal suddenly realize how to solve a problem. So parang dito, it is para siya light bulb. Diba? Pag may problem tayo, like for example, kanina, diba, nag-finals tayo sa math. Then, basic lang daw, no? Basic lang ang solution. Tapos, pinahirapan natin ang sarili natin, saan pa tayo pumunta. Then, we realize na madali lang pala yung solution na yun. Then, napapagano tayo, aha! Yun lang pala yun. So, this time, nagamit natin isang aha moment or ka. So, daw dito, hindi daw, insight learning doesn't happen by trying and failing repeatedly. So instead, it comes from thinking about problem and seeing a new way to solve it. So sometimes, observing someone, observing other can trigger insight. So watching how someone else approaches a problem can lead to a sudden understanding. So it completely mental cognitive experience. The person or animal visualize the problem and solution in their mind without needing external reward or practice. So, for example, sa library, di ba may bookshelf? May mataas doon sa bookshelf. Nandun yung mga books na gusto mong kukunin. Ang problema, hindi sapat yung height mo para maabot yung book sa bookshelf. So, para ikaw, sa naiisip mo, para sa'yo, kinukuha mo na yung book by jumping. Sinatry mo siyang kunin sa pagtalon. Ang problema, hindi mo pa rin maabot. So, doon pa lang, nag-iisip ka na, hahanap ka na ng paraan. Then you realize, may nakita kang isang chair, na pwede ka palang tumayo sa chair para abutin yung book. So that is how nagkaroon tayo ng sudden realization. Pwede palang gamitin ang chair para maabot mo yung book. Then, meron din, experiments si Wolfgang Kohler tungkol sa chimpanzee or sa ape. You know what is chimpanzee, guys? Yes. Okay. So here, ang chimpanzee is sa sultan. So, namely, sultan. So, si sultan, nakalagay siya sa loob ng cage. Then, may banana sa taas ng cage na nakasabit na hindi na makaabot. So, merong mga boxes na nakalagay sa side. Pero hindi niya nagamit, hindi sapat yung box na yon para maabot yung saging. So, there were no direct information, instruction, or demonstration given to sultan. So, nag-observe siya muna. At first, sultan attempted to jump and grab the banana. But na-fail siya. After a period of trial and error, he seemed to pause and observe the situation. So sultan then demonstrate insight by stacking the box on top of each other to create a platform. So he climbed, umakyat siya, nakastack yung box, then successfully reached the banana. So these are the 4 stages of insight learning. So first, preparation, incubation, insight, and verification. So first, preparation, the individual becomes aware of the problem and gathers relevant information, often through observation of trial and error. So first, di ba, yung kanina sa example ko, di ba first, sa chimpanzee, ang chimpanzee, nakita niya yung banana nakahangin sa ceiling. Then, tinatry niya tumalon para ma-reach yung saging. Then, sa incubation, the individual mentally steps back from the problem, allowing unconscious processing to occur, allowing, during this stage, the brain continues working on the problem in the background. So here, the chimpanzee stops actively trying and begins to observe its surrounding. in-observe niya na yung surroundings niya without immediately attempting a solution. So, insight learning, a sudden realization or aha moment occurred where the individual understand how to solve the problem by seeing the relationship between different elements. So, for example, the chimpanzee suddenly realized na pwede palang i-stack ang mga bombs para ma-reach na yung saging. There's a verification. The solution is tested and applied to see if it works. If successful, the individual confirms the insight and may use the same solution for similar problem in the future. So for example, yung chimpanzee, nag-stack na siya ng boxes, and then nag-climb up siya, and successfully, nag-grab niya na yung banana. That's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Giovanna Jane Albanillas from BEN1. And today, I am going to discuss about experiential learning theory. So, experiential learning theory is developed by David Allen Kolb, or David Kolb, and he was born in 1939. He is an American, an educational theorist, researcher, and a professor. Also, he gets his master's degree from Harvard University and PhD in social psychology from Harvard University. So, David Kolb was best known for his work on experiential learning theory. His work focuses on how individuals learn through experiences, reflection, and active participation in their environment. So, experiential learning theory is a theory that emphasizes learning as a process grounded in experience. It suggests that individuals learn best through active engagement with their environment and through a cycle of concrete experiences, reflection, conceptualization, and experimentation. So experiential learning theory, learning is seen as a continuous process of adaptation through experiences. So it means learning happens all the time as we experience new things and learn from it. So parang ano siya, learning through experiences. So here are the 4 stages of experiential learning theory. The concrete experiences, abstract conceptualization, reflective observation, and active experimentation. So concrete experiences, we must have a direct involvement in a task or situation. So dapat like doing or trying something new. For example, first time riding a bike. Yun yung natin, concrete experience. Like first time natin mag-bike, and then natumba ka. And then, so, abstract conceptualization. Forming theories, concept, or generalization based on the reflection. Dito, iniisip mo, bakit ako natumba? Diba? Kadalasan kasi, if first time natin mag-bike, diba, natutumba talaga tayo. Dahil walang
Balance.
very good. So, dito naisip ko na, oh my gosh, walang balance, kaya ako natumba. Ganon. So, here, reflective observation. Reflecting on the experience and analyzing what happened. So, dito natin yun. Yung parang isip mo na ganyan. So, dito naisip ko na, ano pa ang pwede kong gawin para if mag-bike ako agad, hindi na ako matutumba. Diba? So, dapat, practice balancing. So,